Play the music, Alec.
Episode 13, all time with Luke Wilson. We're back. Luke, a little 10-day hiatus.
Yeah, it's been, to anyone who's been listening, I got to apologize. I've been on my worst behavior. I've been on bad behavior. That's why we're 10 days delayed. It's on me. It's on me, Belly. But we're back now. I'm out of detention. I got put in detention for bad behavior, everyone, but I'm back and we're ready to rumble. And I just need to apologize to everybody for bad behavior, hence the delay.
If you cannot tell, my good friend Luke Wilson, former NFL tight end, has had one too many cold brews tonight, and he's in a pretty good mood ahead of episode 13 here. And how could he not be? The San Francisco 49ers lost in the championship round. You got to be feeling pretty good about that as a former Seahawk. Chiefs.
I feel great about it
that night. It was an interesting
I'm on it, bro.
Weekend. I say let's just jump right into it. Let's
go. What's your first question, man? What do you got for me?
49ers Eagles.
I called blowout.
I know, but how different is that game if San Francisco challenges the Devontae Smith catch?
Very.
It's a fourth down play
different.
At midfield.
Agreed. Very different. It's extremely different. My thing is with that whole ordeal, though, is it's tough to be like, yo, like, how different is this thing? Like, I thought Philadelphia went into conservative mode. Like, it was weird, but I felt like Philadelphia was kind of like, bro, we know they can't move the ball now. I'm talking post-Purdy injury, Josh Johnson ordeal. I didn't mean to skip ahead, but it was like Philly, I thought, left a lot of bullets in the chamber. Like, I expected Philadelphia to unload the clip after that. Like, they barely threw the ball. They controlled the game. They ran the ball a lot. They just chewed up some clock and got out of there. 31-7, bro. Nothing made me happier than to see the Niners get slapped. Nothing.
I bet. If you're the Eagles there, you kind of just go into self-preservation mode. Purdy's hurt. Josh Johnson's in the blue tent. Purdy comes back out. We didn't know it at the time. It's a torn UCL. He couldn't throw, right? The Niners were doing everything they could to at least put together some sort of a regular offense. I went out of my way this week because I was very curious. I was very curious to hear what the 49ers would say after the game. And just as a curious person, I wanted to see how defeated they would look, because that's got to be one of the more defeating losses of those guys' careers. You go into an NFC championship game right off the jump, you have a coaching miscue, you turn it over on the next possession, your quarterback goes down, you're down to your fourth stringer. They never had a chance to win that game. A couple of guys after the game mentioned a package of plays with Christian McCaffrey at quarterback. We saw the one trick play, but it's just a game from hell if you're San Francisco.
Yes, the thing with McCaffrey at quarterback, sure, they have that package in, but the package is not when you're down by 20 points. That's the package when it's like, hey, you're either up by 20 or you're in a really tight, like, old school football and you're trying to wear them down with some, wildcat-ish style stuff. It's not. And even if they put McCaffrey in there, I mean, how big's the package? 7 plays, 8 plays? I promise you it's not a big package.
Did you guys
pause? But what I'm saying.
Yeah, pause. Did you guys have, like, what was your emergency quarterback situation like?
Cam Chancellor, baby.
Yeah.
Cam Chancellor can sling it. Well, dude, he was a quarterback at Virginia Tech, I believe, in his early years, and they moved him to safety. But he could still sling it. I'm trying to think of, but Russ, I know this year he got banged up a little bit, but he was Mr. Durable in Seattle. But what was strange to me, I thought, about the whole ordeal was, like, and I don't really know how this is, like, getting overlooked, but it's like Hassan Reddick has been incredible this year. I mean, he's been incredible. They moved him, when he was playing in Arizona. I believe I played against him maybe his rookie year, and they were kind of using him a little funky. I think they bumped him to linebacker, and this year he's like a true edge guy. I think was like 17 or 18 sacks. So I have that right? Anyways, we're going to look here in a sec. I'm pretty sure he had like 17 sacks this year. Where am I at?
A lot of sacks. 16 sacks in the regular
16.
season. Yeah. Producer
guy,
today.
Yeah. And I'm like, bro, what are y'all doing? Like the first one where he got crunched, we have the backup tight end. Like their two backups are Dwelly and I believe Tyler Croft, just like soloed up. Like, yo, in what's tough about it too is that it was a play action. If you like watch this stuff, you want to talk about like the details of the game. You watch this, and this is driving me nuts, but you have a bad matchup, and that's not a shot at the tight end. There's no tight end that's a good matchup against Sean Reddick one-on-one in pass pro. Now, it is a play action, but you watch the offensive line, and they're not really firing off the ball. And, like, how these D linemen play is they're reading O-line keys. Like, they don't just, like, guess, like, oh, I think it's going to be a pass. I mean, maybe some of them do, but that's not how they're supposed to play. A lot of them will be like, yo, I'm watching the outside leg of the tackle. Like, if he kicks, I'm in pass rush mode. If he blocks down, I got to, whatever my gap is, et cetera, et cetera. Well, it's like, so not only do you sit there and leave him on an island, but then your O-line barely sells the play action. He gets fucking smoked, and Hassan Reddick smashes him. And then you look at the second one, which was even more absurd, it was another play action, like not a rollout, but kind of how they do, they like move the pocket a little bit. And we had this exact protection in Seattle. But you had Juwan Jennings kind of like trying to sell to like pin the edge, and then Kittle coming across the ball. And the reality was, like, at that point, the Niners hadn't run the ball or run that play enough to like get Hassan Reddick to bite. And like the idea is either he was all the way, like I should say, horizontally down the line because of the run, where he didn't flow horizontally. He just said, fuck it, I'm going right. And now all of a sudden, Juwan Jennings in a bad spot, Kittle's in a bad spot. Like, I wouldn't say they missed their blocks. They were putting bad spots. And I'm like, yo, like, not to point out the obvious here, but like, you already got your backup in there. Like, maybe we shouldn't have the most risky block on planet Earth, where we kind of need Hassan Reddick to bite on a fake, or else our quarterback's going to get fucking killed. Like, did that thought cross anyone's mind? And we don't have another one. It's a little strange.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to say. I thought it was the 49ers offensive staff have kind of dodged some bullets from the media right now. That's all I'm going to say. I was very surprised that these plays are in their game plan and just so readily called.
As a proud member of the Josh Johnson Hive, it's a small club. I was very excited to see him come into that game, slinging it around a little bit. And I was watching the game with some of my coworkers, and they were just laughing at him. And I was like, no. Like, he'll make some throws, he'll make some plays, and they looked reasonable. And then he botched a snap, and it was a 14-point game at the half, and the game just ended in those last 2 minutes of the second quarter. And then the entire second half, it was Purdy basically, and the Niners just couldn't do anything.
I think it was the Niners' first drive where he got hurt, Josh Johnson. Yeah. But here's my question, Luke. This is what, like, some things that I picked up on. And it's funny how, like, and I'm sure we'll talk about this when we go to Kansas City in the Bengals game in a sec, but all week, really the chat was on the Niners. The majority of chats were like Brock Purdy, and you had like these graphics on, were they on Fox? I believe it. Were they on Fox? I believe so, because the later game was CBS with Tony Romo. So it was Greg Olsen, who's doing a great job calling games, by the way. Greg Olsen showed the big GO. But you're sitting there, and it's like all week, and they get the graphics built up, like Purdy's the youngest, whatever, or here he is with other young guys to start a championship game. The Niners are 12-1 and like 8-0 with Purdy, or whatever the numbers are. And I'm like, you just, if you're the Niners and they didn't do this, but I'm like, I would be dodging all of that shit. What I mean by dodging it, like put the focus back on the Eagles. What I thought was not talked about because of other storylines was this Eagles defense came out fucking pissed. They were smacking boys in the first half. I'm talking even on the plays that were like, bro, like that shit was fucking a good play by the Niners. It was like if it moved, it got hit. DBs coming down, smacking them, talking shit. I mean, Linval Joseph chasing motherfuckers down. The guy's 340 pounds. Dominican Susan there. Hargrave's ripping. Fletcher Cox was already talked about. Hassan Riddick. Like, these boys played angry, and as they should. Like, how are we not giving this defense more, like, not giving them more credit? This defense is elite across the board. This is an elite defense across the board.
Yeah.
Is it as good as the Niners front seven? Sure, maybe not. But here's the next thing. Is like, dude, I'm seeing this shit. This team is playing pissed the fuck off right now, and they are smacking boys. And I thought it was physical shit, and I was like, dude, it's going to be a tough day. Like, this is really going to test Brock Purdy. And then back to my other point, Luke, and then all of a sudden it goes, oh, okay, like, it's a physical game. We're still going to call, like, very, very, like, finicky style, like, very finesse style plays. And, like, they weren't having it, bro. Sean Riddick saying, I'm not falling for this shit. I'm coming out and trying to take someone's fucking head off. I mean, bro, he hit Josh Johnson so fucking hard, almost took the ball out of his hand. Again, like, I thought it was a very, like, I don't want to call it hubris, but I thought that the Niners got a little bit by maybe some of the high, and the Eagles had a bit of an advantage where we weren't really chatting about them as much. And boy, do they have some good players on that team. Both sides of the ball.
It's almost like this Eagles team's they're not flying under the radar. They're the 1 seed, obviously, but there's a lack of respect. And I don't know if it's because Sirianni's in his second year. Jalen Hurts has never won anything. But there's just this, like, even the conversation now, it's like, oh, the Eagles have had an easy path to the Super Bowl. They played a divisional rival in the divisional round. We saw the Bengals, the Bills, and the Niners all struggle with divisional opponents in these playoffs. The Eagles rolled right through the Giants. That game was over on the first drive of the game, basically. And then this week, you know, they obviously benefit from the quarterback injuries, but you're not trying to hurt the quarterback, but you're trying to hit the quarterback. And their defense got home. And their defense got home often. And they took Purdy out of the game. And they took Josh Johnson out of the game. And they won. And that's why they win the game. If you don't injure Brock Purdy because your pass rush isn't getting home as often, it's a different game. Correct. Right? So you can't just be like, oh, Brock Purdy got hurt and the Eagles had an easy win.
You nailed it.
They hurt him.
For real. And just to add to that point, Luke, is I'm like sitting here and I'm like, dude, this team won 14 fucking games this year. 14 games. 2 of their losses were to divisional opponents, which are it's very tough to sweep the division. The Cowboys and the Commanders. Here's the next thing. You can't say they have an easy division. They might have had the best division in football.
Yeah.
Including them, they had 3 playoff teams, and the Commanders were in the hunt all year. So they play in the most competitive division in football this season. And I'm sure someone can debate that, but it's right, 1A, 1B. You win 14 games, and you absolutely slap your divisional opponent in the divisional round, and then slap the San Francisco 49ers. And there are some people like, oh, the Eagles favorited to beat the Chiefs. I'm like, what fucking team are you watching? What team are you, like, what games are you watching with this Eagles team that's not like, this is one of the most complete football teams I've seen in a very, very long time. Complete across the board.
Which is why I'm very happy to have a ticket on them at 35-1 to win the Super Bowl. I want to we'll get your thoughts on that a little bit later, but I want to wrap up the Niners. You know this Niners team very well, obviously. You've played against a bunch of these guys. This felt, so to me, I was one of the people during the week. I didn't have to bet it because of the spot I was in. I started to talk myself into the Niners because I went back and I watched the NFL films of when they were in the Super Bowl against the Chiefs. A game they should have won. It felt like the San Francisco team had unfinished business with just the roster, the makeup, the coach. This is a tough loss. This is a really tough loss. This is now, they've lost in the championship game back-to-back years. They went to the Super Bowl 3 years ago. This is 3 of the last 4 years they've been in the NFC Championship game. The NFL, you only get so many cracks at this in the NFL. There's guys that have to get paid. There's vets that leave. You lose your DC. Like they're going to be on their third DC in 3 years now. They lost Bob Saleh to the Jets, and they just lost D'Amico Ryans to the Texans.
Yeah,
This
it's tough.
this was a tough loss for this Niners team. Where do you think
Very
they
tough.
go from here?
I think they go get Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers. I mean, the reality is, if you're John Lynch right now, you're probably sitting back there thinking, if we have a quarterback, we're in the Super Bowl. And, there's a good chance, I know we're going to talk about the Eagles win the Super Bowl, and you're sitting there going, if we have a quarterback, we're in the Super Bowl. I mean, that's how they're going to – I don't know if I agree with that, but that's how they're going to think 100%. And it's like you look at – like it does remind me even, not this more so, but my early years, you look at the Niners, it was like they went to the Super Bowl and lost to the Ravens. I don't know if you remember that bad boy. Then the next year went to the NFC Championship against us and lost on the last play of the game. And it's like kind of the same song. And then they went through some rebuilding years, and they're definitely not going to be in a rebuilding phase. But like, dude, this team outside of a quarterback had all the makings to like make the run. The one thing I will say, like, I'm pretty good, like, I'm pretty big into player interviews and like what they say. And there was one that I heard from Fred Warner, and Fred Warner is good as fuck, bro. I remember playing against Fred. This dude is physical and fast. Like, he's what you want in a linebacker. This fucking guy can play ball. And he said something. He was like, yo, like, at the half of the Seahawks game, I had to like really get in some boys' asses, like talking like, bro, what the fuck are we doing? Like, let's finish the job here. And I thought that was really strange. To me, Luke, it was like even that game. Now, obviously, they beat the fuck out of the Seahawks in the second half, much to the dismay of everything that I was running my mouth about that week. But again, like I'm gonna draw back on like my experiences playing in like, bro, we didn't really have those moments in the playoffs those first 2 years. Like, not defensively. Like, we had I thought this Niners team had similarities to our Seahawk run because our defense was the best in the league, bar none, bro. Shout out the Legion of Boom, bro. Okay, I mean, that era was fucking sick. But it was like our offense was really good, I think, at running the ball, but not, statistically was nowhere near the front of the league. And I was going to say we played complimentary football, but I know that if any of my ex-Legion of Boom members hear this, they'd want to slap me for saying that.
Not a fan?
I mean, let's put it this way, bro. I feel like when you have the fucking Legion of Boom in the front seven we had, okay, and the turnovers we were doing, like, as long as you just don't piss down your leg every game, it's considered complimentary football, But so anyways, you look at this Niners team, it was somewhat similar, different style of offense, but similar vibes is what I'm saying. And it was like, I can't even imagine like going in at the half in a playoff game with that Legion of Boom team kind of looking around being like having the leaders have to crawl up dudes' asses. Like everybody on that defense was just fucking ferocious and ready to fucking dominate. Dan Quinn was leading the charge at D coordinator. Chris Richard was a big voice on that defense. Well, like it was fucking outrageous how like good these guys were. So when Fred Warner said that, I'm like, is this team ready to win right now? Like, is this team in the locker room ready to win? And we'll never know because they, again, as much as I dislike the Niners, I will say they got like cheated. Not cheated, but like it was not a fair shot when you don't have a quarterback. Tom Brady, bro. That's the guy. You put Tom Brady in there. Here's my thing. Let me pitch the Tom Brady narrative.
Yeah.
Let me pitch the Tom Brady narrative, bro. He's from the Bay, grew up a Niners fan. It's a storybook ending. People want to say, yeah, Brady's going to go to Vegas. Do you think Brady gives a fuck about what market he's in? No, bro. This dude wants to win. Facts. There's nobody here that's going to be like Tom Brady went here for a big market. Not that the Niners aren't a big market, but he's going to win. And is this Raiders defense ready to win now? Maybe.
No.
I don't think so. I would say no. And then it's
No.
like you look
Plus,
at the other
you're
side
not.
of this thing.
Plus, you don't
Yeah.
want to go to Mahomes' division and
Yeah.
like, no.
You go to San Fran
Yeah.
and you've got CMC who does it
Debo.
all. Debo. I also think Elijah Mitchell is a fucking stud. Ayuk balled out this year. Kittle, and you know he loves his tight ends. Loves his tight ends. They've always had a fullback. Now you got a dynamic fullback in Juszczyk. Tom Brady's not going to want them to pay him a gajillion dollars, and he's got the best fucking defense in the NFL. Like, why would you not go there if you're Tom? And you got Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah, no, it's
If you're John Lynch, how are you not taking that? Be like, listen, this is how we're riding next year. Jimmy G's out. Brock Purdy's going to get his elbow back. He's probably going to miss. I saw it was like 6 months. He's going to miss offseason, blah, blah, blah. And Trey Lance. I'm riding with those three. Be like, listen, maybe Trey Lance gets pissed. I don't know. But I'm going, hey, dude, Tom Brady's here for 1, maybe 2 years. And I'm looking at Brock Purdy, and you're going to study everything Tom Brady does. Get your elbow right. You know, that's a good deal for Brock Purdy. He was Mr. Irrelevant, bro.
oh for sure.
Balled out this year. Get a year or two under Tom Brady. This is the biggest win of all time. I don't know why people think I'm nuts when I say this shit.
I wonder where they're at with Trey Lance. Just like he hasn't played football in 3 years. He broke his ankle. And like Brock Purdy looked fine in the offense. You would have to almost assume Trey Lance should be able to do what we just saw Brock Purdy do. No,
You would assume that.
I have no idea what to expect with him. What he would, if they move him, what do they get for him?
That
if
would
they
be my
keep
next
him,
thing.
how does he
Like
look?
if the offer's right, I think that they probably move him with Brock Purdy the way he played.
Yeah.
Bring in Tom, let Brock study under Tom, and move Ray for a bunch of draft picks. Boom, I'm a fucking NFL GM. Chiefs Bengals, bro. Let's go. Let's go.
Bengals.
Let's go.
Chiefs Bengals. What a game. What a game for the conspiracy theorists, right? The Eagles win. Jason Kelsey's into the Super Bowl. And then there's Travis Kelce and the Kansas City Chiefs getting every whistle imaginable. The conspiracy theorists were having a night Sunday night, but I thought the Bengals should have won that game. I thought the Bengals had opportunities to win that game, and they didn't. Right?
Agree. Bad ball. And to be honest,
I mean,
you
get the ball back. You get the ball back in a tie game with what 2.5, 3 minutes left. That's Joe Burrow. You have to assume you're going to win that game, or at least not give the Chiefs the ball back. But they did, and then Mahomes does what Mahomes does, and they get the 15 tacked on at the end, make a 45-yard field goal, and go to the Super Bowl again.
He slotted that field goal too, bro. Slotted that shit.
Oh yeah, Bucker.
That was dumb.
That's the nice thing about having a kicker like that. When you got a kicker that feels automatic from 45, it's like I don't think anyone was watching that going like, oh, like we're going overtime. Like I almost just assumed he was going to make it.
Yeah, and he's had some big kicks before. The internet right now is it janky?
It's a little janky, but
the thing's back. The thing's back. Has it been janky the whole time or just right now?
It got a little bit more janky than it has been
recently.
It's clear.
Last day with the bookshelf though. Last day with we're good. We're back now. The sign's gone. There we go. Okay.
So what did you think watching that game?
Again, like I know it's not like as much fun to talk about, but I'm like, dude, like you talk about the first game, I mentioned coaching. The second game, like I was very confused because I'm like, bruh, Juju goes down, Kadarius Toney goes down, McCole Hardman got hurt. Like that's literally, as of recently, number 2, 3, and 4 behind Kelsey. Like who else is he going to throw to? And then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah. MBS, who's barely caught a ball in 6 games, now has a fucking hundy. And I'm like, oh my God, dude. I mean, is it the third tight end? No, Gray was still playing, but was it Watson? Wasn't even dressed. I think he was hurt. They got some cat named Kemp in there. Hemp, he's catching the ball. I'm like, bro, everybody's fucking catching the ball today. This is ridiculous. And what's crazy is I'm sitting here and I'm watching it, and I'm like, yo, they're fucked. The Chiefs are fucked now. They're too banged up. Like, we weren't talking about it. I'm like, dude, like, I understand Tyreek Hill's not there, but you're seeing how they're playing. They're doubling Kelsey. And then it's like, who the fuck else are you going to throw to? MVS, okay, we're going to take care of that now. Who the fuck else has he got now? And it comes down to Mahomes on a bad ankle. He ran for the shit. Like, he basically, you think of that shit, I believe he ran for 9 or 11 on that and got 15 tapped onto it.
Yep.
So now all of a sudden it's like Patrick Mahomes on his bum ankle on the last play of the game gets 27 yards, including the penalty. It's fucking ridiculous. And it's like, dude, you just said it, where it's like sometimes like you just got to make plays, and like dudes are hurt. You got the number right there? What's the exact number for what he rushed for?
I think it was only a 5-yard rush, if I'm looking at the right.
No.
Mahomes scrambles
last
right.
Rush?
5 yards. 15-yard penalty tacked on.
Shit, I thought it was more than that.
It was a 3rd and 4 that he – oh, you know what? Yeah, it was the 3rd and 4. He picked up the first down.
And then got the 15. So let's call it 20 then. So I lied. But you get what I'm saying.
That was a penalty. I don't care what side you're on. Chiefs, Bengals, neutral. Penalty. Whether that's week 1 of the preseason or the last play of the AFC Championship game, it's a 15-yard penalty. If they wouldn't have called that, it would have been a mistake. I don't typically like seeing calls like that late in a game, but there are rules. You cannot, and we saw exactly why that rule is in effect when that play happened. He pushes Mahomes out of bounds after he's already stepped out. Mahomes goes down. The face of the league, $500 million man, is down on the sideline with a bum ankle. And the guy that's pushed him almost tears his ACL on the exact same play. And it's like, you can't, like, this is why we have to stay on the field.
Here.
And we all knew it was coming. It's unfortunate. You wanted to see overtime. We haven't seen the new overtime rules and stuff like that, but they got the call right.
They got the call. That call was 100%. There were a lot of calls that were questionable, but not that one, Luke. That shit was dialed in. Just to further your point, though, what was strange to me about the whole thing was like, again, dude, like I look at this thing and I'm like, if it was Lamar Jackson, I could at least wrap my head around it. But like the angle he was chasing him, and it's Patrick Mahomes, who can run, he can scramble a little bit. He's not Lamar, and he's on one leg. Like, bro, this guy has barely scrambled all. I might have had a parlay that had his over rushing and was set at 9.5. Okay. That one put him over the edge. Okay. I'm like, dude, this guy barely ran all day. Like, it's not like you've been chasing him around all day. Like, it was just really a strange, unfortunate thing. But you said it. It's like, dude, like this was, especially in that second half, it was the Bengals game to win or lose, and they lost it. And I thought that I was surprised, but I'm like, dude, they're not really prepared to pick up the pressures that Spagnuolo's sending at them, and they don't have a plan for Chris Jones. Like, again, and part of that is, like, I watched a clip today. It was on Dan Orlovsky's Twitter, and he my guy Dan's getting in some hot water these days and I fuck with him because you don't really know what he's putting in. But he'll put some takes out there, and then someone else, like if I watch a play and someone else watches a play, it might be a little different, our analysis of it. So some like ex-players are coming for his fucking head. But he put a thing out there where basically it was a passing down, and the center, I'm trying to think of what we used to call this, like a 42T, I believe, was the defensive front that we used to say. And what that meant was, like, generally you have a defensive tackle that is on the center, shaded to one side. Very rarely will it be just like a head up nose guard anymore. That's kind of rare to see. With the 42T, put your D tackles on a 3-tech, meaning they're on the outside shades of the guard, or a 4-eye, meaning they're in that gap, and instead of being on the outside shade of the guard, they're more like the inside shade of the tackle. So both A gaps are completely unoccupied by defensive players. Generally speaking, when you see that front, Luke, okay, I don't know if you can kind of envision this. So you've got your two DNs outside the tackle, and you've got your two D tackles on the inside edge of the tackle. It's called a 4-eye technique. Okay. But the B gap, I don't know if I'm getting too technical, let me know here. But like defensively, the gaps on both sides of the centers are considered the A, the next gaps are the B, and then you've got the C gaps. They just kind of work their way out.
Sorry, so the A gap, sorry, so real quick.
Yes.
So the A gap would be between where?
In between the guard and center on both sides.
Okay, so I got guard center, A gap,
correct.
A gap.
A gap,
guard,
A gap,
tackle,
and then
guard tackle
is B gap, and then C gap would be right outside the tackle.
Okay, cool.
Does that make sense?
Okay, so I'm picturing. I'm just picturing my dad at home trying to visualize the gaps. So you got this.
And if you put a tight end there, then we go D gap. Yes. So you have these like gap responsibilities. So generally, you have at least somebody that's in one of the A gaps. But sometimes you'll get these fronts and nickel personnel where they'll bump both of the D tackles out. I remember this a lot because it kind of messes with protections, and a lot of times it's a front that stunts or pressures are coming, because if nobody's in that A gap, they'll usually send a backer, or somebody will loop. You're saying some sort of pressure, blitz, stunt is coming. And it's like this play with Orlovsky is nobody comes. In the center, if you can picture this, and what Orlovsky's saying is, it creates this one-on-one with the guard on Chris Jones. And you look at the center, and the center theoretically has no one to block. Well, he does have someone to block. He's looking for a blitzer, but nobody comes. But what was strange is that's kind of like baseline 101, where my head goes is, can they still not be like, yo, we need help here. So let's slide this over. Dear center, if you don't have anyone initially trigger right away, tell the guard to kind of do a really fat set on Chris Jones. So what I mean, heavy set, and the center's going to check real quick and then fuck off and come help you on the inside. It was just strange, where I felt like they didn't really plan offensively to pick up some of these pressures. And then all of a sudden it was the pass Spagnuolo pressured a ton. And then the second half, they just started backing off a little bit, it seemed like to me, and getting Chris Jones one-on-ones. In Cincinnati was still trying to figure out what pressures were coming, and the pressures didn't happen. So that's why I was like, oh shit, dude. I thought, we can blame Joe Burrow, but I thought the coaches got out coached. I thought Spagnuolo got the better of this fucking matchup. I know that was a bit of football chat, bro. We had a big football chat there.
No, it's good. You know what? So I pulled the video up here on Orlovsky's Twitter. Yes. He's breaking out. So yeah, this is interesting. Just the looks.
So there's nobody in the A gaps, and the center's kind of looking for someone to pick up, or a looper, et cetera, et cetera. Where it's to me, if that doesn't happen right away, you got to think yo, Chris Jones is on a 4-eye outside. He's already got a wide angle on this fucking guard. The guard's in a bad spot. The guard has to heavy set and hopefully have some from the protection inside. But it's easy for my dumbass to say, because if the center bumps over there too quick, and now all of a sudden the linebacker comes, we're also fucked there. So again, it was just a lot for this O-line to handle, and I thought Spagnuolo did a good job of letting the horses out of the stable, bringing the horses back, and had the Bengals kind of guessing all night, and they struggled to move the ball. I mean, bro, all we talked about, Luke, hear me on this. All we talked about was Hayden Hurst, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase. Bro, Snead went down. They were playing with rookies out there, and they were shutting this fucking team down.
Yeah, it was a very I was pretty impressed with the Chiefs defensively there, right? You said it, right? Reed goes down super early. There's 3 rookies back there, and it's oh shit, this is gonna get dicey real quick.
Correct.
And they held their own. They got the pick. And
Correct.
shit,
On the
man,
flip
like
side of this, 3 dudes go down for the fucking Chiefs offense, and somehow they have 10 guys catch the ball, and they still cook. We got a quarterback on one leg, and half the fucking team hurt. Travis Kelce almost didn't play because of back spasms. Juju gets hurt, McCole gets hurt, Kadarius Toney gets hurt, and somehow they find a way to get it done. Again, like, I'm not sitting here and saying it's just playmakers making plays, but it's also coaches having such a feel for the game, for their players, for what's going on, putting them in better situations to make plays. Now, a lot of that was Patty Mahomes. I don't want to take anything away from him. But,
he's
shout out the
this,
coaches and the Chiefs.
yeah, this year for Mahomes has fully cemented it for me. I didn't understand the conversations during the week about Joe Burrow being the best quarterback in the
Yeah.
league. Like to me at least, it is so obviously Mahomes, a gap, and then you can have a conversation about 2, 3, 4. But the
Yes.
conversation about who the best quarterback in this league is not a conversation, in my opinion.
It's not,
Patrick
dude.
Mahomes.
This is one of the, and hopefully Alec can pull this up when he's back on here. I believe he'll libero it. I'm not sure if we'll get the libero, but I'm going to send you this right now on Twitter, and it's not the end zone view, but it's one of the most incredible plays I've seen in a long, long time. And not just because of the throw. It was the touchdown to MVS. Okay, and here's another quick little breakdown of the way I'm seeing this. Here comes a text, bad behavior belly. New hashtag. So this is what is 11 robber, 1 robber, okay? But how they're playing it. So hear me out on this, Luke. When you have 11 robber, the strong safety plays, quote unquote, this robber position. So he basically goes down to the middle of the field and tries to pick up a route. And the free safety plays traditional cover 1 safety. And then everyone else is playing in man coverage, cover 1. Okay. So what they do is, if you can see this while you're watching it, the robber player, instead of playing his zone robber, is basically doubling Kelce. So it is 11 robber, but it's kind of a variation of it because they're telling the quote unquote robber not to rob. They're telling him to fucking double Kelce. So the strong safeties at the top right is saying, fuck it, I'm making sure Travis Kelce ain't getting this ball.
Yep.
Everybody else is playing man coverage. So generally man coverage, you play, not generally, you play, unless it's 2-man, you play outside leverage. Again, you have help in the middle of the field, et cetera, et cetera. Free safety sees the underneath cross, which is where Patrick Mahomes wants to go. As soon as he sees there's no robber there, I can tell by the way he's looking. In the free safety, he's like, fuck it, I'm taking a risk, and he jumps it. Mahomes on the fucking fly, bro, on one leg. Like, this is what I'm saying. And this shit is happening. Like, I can't even explain what's going on as fast as it's actually occurring. Sees that the safety takes this huge risk, manipulates the pocket. So he kind of moves the pocket to the right, finds a little angle, doesn't have his feet set, and slings a fucking bullet that hits MVS right in the chest and is about 2 inches off the fingertips of the defender. I mean, bro, I saw that shit. I'm like, that's just fucking dumb, bro. That is, I mean, you got Kelce doubled, the guy you want to go to, the safety fucking jumps the route, which was a huge risk. And Mahomes like, oh, nope, got it. Boom. Tubbs up to the right. MVS will be open underneath. And he's really not even that fucking open. But I've got an absolute cannon attached to my arm that I'm going to throw this motherfucker where he either hits him in the chest like a fucking bow and arrow or it's a TD. Like, it's either a drop or a TD. Boom.
What did you think of all the Burrowhead talk during the week?
Well, I think we need to end this game with this shit. Like, again, bro, I don't know why you would do this. I was on Jay on SportsCenter and he asked me about that. And I'm like, dude, generally speaking, not 100%, but I would say the vast majority of players in the NFL have a chip on their shoulder. There's a lot of them. Maybe not the perennial stars that have been stars since a kid, but that's not what the league's made up of. The league's made up of a lot of guys that have been doubted and have proved a lot of people wrong in a variety of ways. Generally speaking, they're highly motivated individuals. That's not a stretch. I don't have any scientific facts to back this one up, but that's just the truth. If you're in an NFL locker room, you're generally highly motivated, like internally. The idea of just like being like, oh, you know what? We've got this team that's been to the AFC Championship, which will now be 5 years in a row, only has one Super Bowl to show for it. And we're going to fucking, they all have a little chip on their shoulder to begin with, little, fire in the belly. We're going to fucking pour gasoline on that fire. Like, why, dude? What is the point? What is the point of that, Luke? I don't get it.
Yeah, is that like this loss to me from Cincinnati feels like a part of the process, right? You have to kind of learn, right? They always say you got to learn how to lose before you win, right? Some people, yourself included, skipped the losing part before winning the Super Bowl as a rookie. But I think you go to the Super Bowl last year, you go into Arrowhead last year and win that game. You curb stomp the Bills. You're feeling nice. Cancun on 3, Eli Apple. All of a sudden, you're the favorite, right? All of a sudden, you got the expectations. You got the target on your back. And I just didn't understand adding to that pressure, adding to that, like you said, the bulletin board material, the chip on the shoulder. It's a Chiefs team that hasn't won a Super Bowl in a couple of years. They obviously want to go back. Like, why poke that bear? To me, it didn't make a ton of sense, but because you knew it. You knew, like, as soon as that game was going to end, Mahomes was going to say, Kelsey was going to say his thing. And I thought Kelsey was, people were mad. People were like, oh, he's being disrespectful. He's lost me as a fan. I thought the Travis Kelsey thing after that game was some of the funnier audio I've heard from him.
He called the mayor a jabroni.
The
mayor played along. He said, the mayor tweeted, he was like, dude, I deserve that. Congrats, Kansas City. Like, it was in good fun, bro. He didn't he quoted The Rock from WWE. Like, dude, he's not, you can't be mad at Travis Kelsey, bro. It was all very lighthearted.
People just,
but again, like, dude,
make it too serious.
If these guys were bums, I'd be like, all right, these guys are bums. Travis Kelsey and Patrick Mahomes are 2 first ballot Hall of Famers. First ballot, bro. Travis Kelsey's going to go down. He's going to be in the conversation when it's all said and done. Best pass catching times of all time. Of all time. Bro, when you think of it right now, he's on pace. Going to be, depending on how long he plays, it's going to be him and Tony Gonzalez. I mean, and assuming he stays healthy for the next 3 or 4 years.
Yep.
I mean, dude, he's second in the playoffs to Jerry fucking Rice as far as all of his receiving numbers.
It's pretty good.
Jerry Rice, bro. Pretty good, bro. Pretty good.
Oh, did you see Jerry Rice the other day in Philly?
I mean, what did he do now, dude?
Oh, he was walking around. He had all of his rings on. And then he was just looking at the fans like this. He was like, yeah, like, look at my rings. Just flipping them off. It was unreal.
He can do it.
There was a lot of Jerry Rice on my timeline these playoffs. I enjoyed it a lot. I like seeing him.
Yeah, and the guy can, I mean, dude, you want to talk about best players ever. He's in the conversation. Like, to me, it's Tom, but like Jerry Rice is in there. I mean, you put Lawrence Taylor in the combo. It's tough in football because everyone has different positions, but Jerry Rice is in the top 5. I don't give a fuck who you are. Guys, I mean, the numbers don't lie.
No.
And Travis Kelsey's number 2 behind him, and we're going to sit here and try and fucking stir that pot? Okay. Good idea. It's ridiculous, bro.
It is. It's. Let's talk about the Super Bowl. Chiefs, Eagles.
Yeah.
I want to say, it seems like it should be a good game. I wouldn't be surprised if the Eagles win this by 2 scores.
I mean,
I'm thinking like 28-14 type of game.
This
Because
is what I'll say. Yes. Go ahead.
well, I was just going to say again, like you said during your Chiefs breakdown, like the Chiefs got really banged up in that game. They had fucking Sky Moore out there in the fourth quarter. I know you get the bye week. I know all that stuff, but I don't know.
Yes.
From a roster construction, like
That's
this
my
Eagles
thing.
team is
Like
just so much better.
this whole podcast, I've talked to you about like the coaches. And I looked at this game and it was like, Andy Reid offensively is able to still manipulate where they spread the ball around in 10 different receivers. And now you look at defensively, it's like Spagnuolo had some exotic pressures and they isolated Chris Jones and blah, 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 and they were able to get this O-line. The reality is this Eagles offensive line with 2 weeks to prepare for these pressures ain't going to have one motherfucking problem identifying shit, picking it up. They're not going to have one, bro. They're going to be dialed in. They're going to be fucking, I mean, they got veterans across the line. They have sick fucking players. I mean, Mulata, their one tackle, Lane Johnson, these guys are both fucking studs. Jason Kelsey. I mean, it's just their line is disgustingly good and veteran guys. So you're not going to get away with confusing them. And then you look at the other way, it's like, dude, I don't know how banged up the secondary is, but now all of a sudden you've got A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith to deal with. And if you really want to focus on taking those guys away, maybe keep a safety out of the box, you've got an incredibly good quarterback that can run in Jalen Hurts. Miles Sanders is a baller. And Kenneth Gainwell has looked fucking incredible recently.
So is Boston Scott.
So is Boston Scott. So
they got three backs
can
and a mobile quarterback.
And you got A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. And a tight end in Dallas Goedert that can also
and
rip.
Quez Watkins.
Like, yes, who's like still very good, but there's just so many other guys. And then
Team
defensively the other way, yes, it's like they've got to handle Kelsey. That's a fact. But then it's like you've got Juju, MVS, you got Bradbury, you got Slay, you've got C.J. Gardner-Johnson, and you've got – I mean, dude, I keep talking about it. I don't know how this isn't a bigger focal point. This Eagles defensive line is fucking disgustingly good and has a ton of depth, bro. Like, you're going to see Robert Quinn come in once in a while and just be like, fuck it, Robert. Here's one of your 15 snaps on third down. Pin your ears back and go fucking get a sack.
It's crazy, but that Jordan Davis injury early in the season –
yes,
might have been the best thing for this Eagles D-line. He went down. All of a sudden, I don't know if you remember it, right? But the Texans run over them on Thursday Night Football. They lose to the Commanders the next week. And then it was like, okay, let's go get Sue. Let's go get
Linval fucking Joseph, bro.
Right, Joseph. And now it's like it's just a team full of
it's the Monstars, bro.
It's a team full of dogs, though, man.
Bro, 100%. It's the Monstars out there, bro, from Space Jam. Hargrave, Davis, Linval Joseph, Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham. Like, bro, these guys are elite NFL players, bro. And here's the other thing. I'll say this. It's not like this is a week 14 game. A couple more veterans. Yeah, maybe I'm banged up. Maybe this, maybe I'm that. This is the motherfucking Super Bowl, bro. Everyone's bringing their A game. Everyone's playing hurt. Everyone don't give a fuck. You want to pop an extra Toradol, you pop it in this one, bro. You're taking whatever you need to feel great. It's the biggest stage in the fucking world, and your effort level is going to be through the roof. And you're going to be fresh because you got a great rotation over there.
You just mentioned –
that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it's fair. You just mentioned pop an extra what the fuck's it called again?
Toradol?
Yeah. Were you surprised that they said it on the broadcast right before the game started? Mahomes didn't have an injection this week.
Yeah, so that would be different because you're not allowed to inject Toradol anymore. There's some issues with that.
Okay,
in college, it was, dude. You gotta hear this one. Look, this is one of the strangest ordeals for me. When I was in college, Toradol was like way more freely used So, dude, I remember, like, picture my dumbass. I'm like fucking 18, 19 years old playing in fucking at Rice in Texas. And it's funny, but we weren't obviously a BCS school, but we were a true D1, D1A school here playing in Conference USA. And down there, like, people really like college football. So it was like a big ordeal. Like, you in on Ontario, I didn't even know what the fuck Rice was, but down there, like, people followed this shit. And I'm like, yo, we're coming in from a warm up, but I'm like, where's everyone going? Where's everyone going? Like, they're going to get their shot. I'm like, what? Like, bro, you don't really, like, you're not going? I'm like, what do you mean I'm not going? What's in there? And basically, there's a lineup of fucking needles. And you would go, Ron, I had to get on the T train here. And you would go and just like pull your butt cheek out, and the doc would be like, bink. And then, like, it was like an assembly line, like you were cattle. Bink, bink. He'd fucking dial 30 dudes in 2 minutes. So I'm like, and people's kidneys started failing, and it was a huge health ordeal. So now it's oral pills only, which are supposed to be a little more friendly, and you have to go to treatment. That's in the NFL. I don't know what college is. But what was strange is back to Mahomes, bro. Back to Mahomes now. We're gonna have to loop this back. When they said that he didn't get the injection, I thought that was a good idea. That doesn't mean he wasn't on Toradol. I would be shocked if they didn't give him a Toradol pill.
So like that's what I was wondering. Could that have just been some like word lingo or
No.
not word lingo, but just
Yes and
someone
no.
was like,
So
oh, he like I was immunized, I'm not vaccinated. I didn't take an injection. It's because it
okay,
was a
yeah. So
shot,
I'll
right? Like,
explain. My bad. This is good. This is a great question. It's a great
yeah.
question, and I'm obviously
How
not the
much do
doctor there,
NFL
but I
teams lie about injuries is basically what I'm
very
asking.
minimal now. Very minimal because it all is documented, and there's fucking lawsuits fly off the handles, like crazy amounts of lawsuits. What I would say when I heard that, what that meant to me was that he basically, if I had to guess, probably took some Toradol or some ibuprofen at the bare minimum. Maybe put a topical thing on it, whatever. My internet sucked. I'm going to pause. I'm back now. I'm good.
Yeah, it's a little
Okay. Seems better now.
yeah.
Okay. Maybe put a topical ointment on it, everything legal. But what you can do with injuries, and I did this in college, and it was not a good thing, but they pulled the wool over my eyes. They never told me. Was you can inject it with like lidocaine or xylocaine are the two things, which is basically you like freeze it. So my senior year, I got a high ankle sprain, and they were trying to get me to like suit up for games, and they would do all these different injections in my high ankle. And it would get to the point where like the whole fucking ankle is wildly numb. So you can kind of play normal. Like you just can't feel that part of your foot. But the issue is when that game's over with, my guy, and that freezing shit wears off, your shit is like a fucking 2x so stiff. One from yanking on a sprained ankle, and two just because only God knows what all those injections do. So I actually thought that was a smart play because if he injected a high ankle sprain, played freely on it, etc., had no feel, he's going to yank on it. That whole like 3 to 6 window ordeal is
Yeah.
now a huge his ankle would have been substantially worse going into the Super Bowl than whatever it is now.
Whereas now at the Super Bowl, you can be like, fuck it, let's just do whatever we got to do for 4 hours, and then we got 5
Yeah, so
months.
hopefully he's good enough where he doesn't need it. But now with the Super Bowl, I could see them being like, yo, it's better, blah, blah, blah. Like, this is the one where you would inject it. Potentially.
How? So I guess I meant to ask you this a couple weeks ago. Maybe I did. My memory's been really shit recently. But as each checkpoint we go along, the question remains: how banged up is an NFL team going into a Super Bowl? Like, is anyone healthy at this time of year?
No, but I'll say you're healthier than the championship game. That's what I'll
Okay.
say. Because, dude, it's bizarre, but having a weekend off feels like having 2 months off at this point of the year. And I'm not saying they're going to be completely off from like watching ball, but my guess, like what we did in Seattle, which I thought was pretty epic and really was nice, was we treated this week the exact same way like we were playing on Sunday. This was Pete's idea. He would come in, and I remember he's like, listen, guys, I know you think it's a bye week, blah, blah, blah. He's like, now's not the time to fuck off. Like, we have the Super Bowl ahead of us. He's like, and when we get to the Super Bowl, there's so many distractions. There's so many, like, your family, your friends are in town. Everyone's going. There's media night. There's this, there's that. Like, dude, I remember that's when the Beats by Dre were really popular. Like, bro, we played the NFC Championship, and there was a headphone company at the time called Monster. I'm not sure if they're still around.
Yeah.
And they gave us these, like, sweet headphones before the game, and Dr. Dre was on the sideline when we played the Niners and saw us all wearing these fucking Monster headphones. We beat the Niners. We showed up. I think it was literally Monday morning. If it wasn't, it was Wednesday morning. I don't know how he pulled it off this fast. And we had a note in everybody's locker room and a free pair of Beats by Dre headphones that said, I saw that the number 4 headphone company gave y'all some free headphones. Y'all need to be rocking the number 1 company because you're the best team in the world. And then it was like the next week, you're going to laugh. So we got those on the Wednesday. And then the Sunday when we took off, we had suitcases, okay, like big ass suitcase style things from Beats by Dre with a Super Bowl, had like gold plated with like one little fucking small jewel in the side of it. It was like, so like Pete's whole thing was like, dude, there's going to be so much of this shit, like so much of distractions, gifts, family, media, where it's like, let's do this Super Bowl like it's this week. But so we did the whole Wednesday practice, Thursday practice, Friday half day, same thing. Saturday we did a walkthrough like we were playing Sunday, so you had it off the body, but you were still in football mode. And then Sunday was, instead of the game, he'd say Sunday's travel day. So instead of the game, our game is flying. It was like his like way, like, yo, let's have the best flight. Like, we're going on this flight day, we're winning this flight. I'll be like, Pete, bro, you're the man. This shit is funny as fuck. Well, like that weekend helps quite a bit, bro. Because again, you'll have a half day Friday, you'll have a walkthrough Saturday, and Sunday you'll take a flight to Arizona. If that makes sense.
Completely unrelated. But now I'm just kind of curious, talking about the benefit of the bye going into the Super Bowl. How big of a difference does the bye week make during the regular season, right? You see teams have like a week 4 bye, and you'll see teams have a week 12 bye. Was there a bye week that was like a sweet spot for you? Were you, did you want it as late as possible to have it late in the year? Did you want it early in the year because you were out of shape?
10 would be it. 10 would be it. You don't want the super late one, but the kiss of death is the early one, bro. And I'll explain why. The kiss of death is just like, oh god dang it. Unless it was Matt Patricia, so I'm assuming Bill probably did this too. When I was playing, every single team played their 4th preseason game. So now there's only 3, so I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's the same sort of thing, but played the 4th preseason game on the Thursday. So you know the preseason games are all over the map. Yep. Well, was that when I was playing, every team had a 4th preseason game on the Thursday. And why that was to give everybody an even playing field, because that was cut down weekend. So most coaches, you could theoretically practice per the CBA on Friday, but most coaches said, that's it. Like, we're done, because if you're in there on Friday, you're cutting people. So we're in Detroit. I thought it was fucked up. I'd never done this before. It was my first year not being in Seattle. We played Thursday, practiced Friday, and they were plucking guys off the field in the middle of everyone, almost like public hangings as they were getting cut. Very, very Patriot style, you know, but Seattle was not like that. Seattle was like, yo, you know, enjoy it. We've all been through the offseason together. You know, he kind of was more family atmosphere. Like, some guys aren't going to be here come Monday, but enjoy the weekend. So you'd have Friday off, Saturday off, Sunday off. In Monday, in Pete Carroll's world, was like a bonus Monday, and then you had Tuesday off. So you'd kind of do a regular week. Usually Tuesdays are off in the NFL. So the reason I'm saying this is that's kind of like a mini bye, in the sense of you just went through camp, you had 3 straight days off, a 4th day that's maybe 4.5 hours at work, and then a 5th day where you're in the building, but you're not playing ball, you know?
Yeah.
So like you have 4 or 5 days completely off in your rolling, where it feels like a bye. And then all of a sudden to get another one of those, like you said, week 5 or whatever the first bye week can be, 6.
Yeah.
You're like, and then you're like, fuck, dude, we have 11 straight weeks now. Or you're like, that becomes a huge grind. Now the Thursday night game helps a little bit. But it's just tough, man. It's tough. Like, ideally, you kind of have that, like, from a mental standpoint, you have that little break at the end of camp. You then go in. The beginning weeks of the season are easy in the body, easier, right? You're generally healthy, like you said. You're fresh. You're like, bro, fucking opener of the season. And then all of a sudden, it's like week 7, 8 comes, that kind of wear and tear comes down. 9, okay, like, here comes week 10. We got to bye. You take 3 or 4 days, get away from football a little bit, reset the mind, get the body feeling a little better. And you're like, okay, now I got 6 games left. And it's not that you're counting them down, but it's like, I'm feeling fucking good. I'm recharged. I'm going into this thing. We're in the last half of the season. So that, I would say, it is a big ordeal to a lot of guys.
Yeah, that makes sense. I always thought it was strange growing up. Teams would have like a week 4 bye. It never seemed like it'd be the good teams. That was always the thing. It was always like
Agreed.
the shitty teams get the early buys, and the good teams will get the middle week buys, and then a couple of the shitty teams will be off in like week 12 or whatever.
Yeah, the other tough one is Thursday night home versus away games. So, like, dude, I remember one year, again, like, this might sound weird, but you don't have that much time, right? So one year we played the Rams at home on a Thursday night. Well, I think more than one year, but bro, this is a true story. I scored a TD in this game. I was amped. We were in the action green jerseys. Okay. We beat the fuck out of the Rams, and that was always good, bro. We hated the Rams. They hated us. We beat the fuck out of them at CenturyLink. I took a plane to Vancouver that night with a couple of friends that were at the game. A couple boys had their own little plane situation. They'd come down from Vancouver, watch the game. They're like, bro, what are you doing this weekend? I'm like, we got the whole weekend off. I'm like, bro, just hang tight for me, boys. I'm going to get out of here, shower up. I got a little overnight bag in the locker, and I'm driving to the airport. It's like, bro, straight up, got right off the fucking, scored TD in a Thursday night game. We beat the fuck out of the Rams, action green. I remember that. Yeah, there was a group of people I really liked. The only problem was figuring out a way to get back. Drove right to the fucking airport, said hello to everybody, hopped on the BJ, was hammered in Vancouver that night. What do you got? What do you got from me right
Dude,
now?
I kid you not. I found the game. You guys were 15-point favorites on Thursday Night Football against the Rams. Beat them 24-3 at CenturyLink, December 15th, 2016. If gambling was legal at the time in Ontario, I would have had the Rams plus 15 points that night. Because how could I not take the Rams plus 15 on Thursday Night Football against the Seahawks? And I remember watching that game with my buddies from university and going, this motherfucker, Luke Wilson's he's gonna fuck me here. I got the Rams plus 15.5, and Luke Wilson's scoring a touchdown to go up 7-0. I was like, I'm cooked. I'm fucked.
Bro,
it's done.
That had to have been at least plus 500, bro. Plus 5. I was coming off injury that year. I mean, whoever cashed that ticket's ready to rumble, bro.
But I tell you, because the tight end to score the first touchdown of the game is a very popular, like, it's a fun bet. Like, people like, the Hayden Hursts and all that stuff. I bet you probably made some people very happy that night scoring the first touchdown of that game. Luke Wilson, I mean, you probably went off at what, 25, 30 to 1 maybe to score the first touchdown, obviously.
Yeah, bro, you're gonna laugh at this too. So every touchdown has like a little story behind it, I find. Unfortunately, I don't have that many. But that one of the funniest things is, like, we get down there and they're like, yo, the coaches come in. They're like, and they used to always do this with Jimmy. And I felt bad for him. NJ is one of the closest friends of mine, but they thought that they could, like, somehow trick people into being like, yo, like, we're going to do this and they won't cover Jimmy. And I'm like, guys, I understand that if we did this with another tight end, yes, he might be like buck naked here. Nobody is leaving Jimmy Graham fucking wide open. That'll never happen. This guy's a generational fucking talent. No one will ever see Jimmy Graham and be like, you know what, we're not going to cover him. Like, do we forget what this man did? That's what I used to think to myself. Like, literally 2 years ago, he was having the greatest seasons we've ever seen. So we go out there and we go to 13 personnel, and the play is designed to go to Jimmy. I've got some fucking slam flat, and I'm like, bro, this shit ain't gonna fucking work. Bro, everyone, like 6 guys are gonna cover Jimmy, and sure as shit, bro. They were confused because it was a look we never gave them, and it was a concept we never gave them out of this personnel. So naturally, when teams get confused, what the fuck you think they do? Run right to goddamn Jimmy Graham. So
Yeah.
I remember sitting there being like, holy fuck, dude. The guy who was supposed to cover me theoretically just fucked off and went with Jimmy. And I'm like, oh, bro, I'm getting out of here. Then I knew Russ had no other fucking option. I'm like, he's throwing this shit to me. It was a little slam flat. And just how everything had worked out, I kind of known that when I caught it and turned my head, I'm like, just in the ball because you're gonna have some green grass. I like everyone's covering Jimmy right now, so I just not getting there, bro. It's kind of funny. You know what? I'll be able to if we watch it on YouTube. I actually have a cell phone shot of this. I'll be able to send it to producer Alec. Maybe he'll be able to upload it.
Oh, here we go. Seahawks number 82, Luke Wilson, TD and sideline celebration. Thursday Night Football, LA Rams. This is a Seahawks this is a video from the sidelines.
Yeah, this one to me was one of my favorites ever because I was hurt that year. So it really meant a lot, like kind of coming back and, oh, God, my video doesn't show the whole play. Maybe you got the whole play over there.
No, I just have the celebration.
Yeah. It was my first time ever like really getting hurt and being out for a substantial amount of time in the league. So it was kind of one of those moments where it's just like a really nice, like, okay, I'm back, got to be in, you know, it wasn't my first game back, but first kind of like TD since coming back. It was,
I like boys, this though. You know? You're lining up. We're about to kick the PAT. Like you're just right back to work. Catch the touchdown.
That's right, dude.
I'm looking at 82 here, right on the end. We're about to kick the extra point, and we're gonna go to the sideline, and this is gonna be fun. Hold on, I'm watching you come over to the sideline here. You just gave Jermaine Kearse a nice hug.
My guy.
Oh, a nice dap up from Richard Sherman.
Those are my bro. You're putting me through my glory years right now, man. These are all my guys, dude. We had a very good culture with a lot of these guys. You know,
Reese,
Marcel Reese.
You guys had it looked like a nice heart to heart here. He's got you.
He's
got
GOAT,
you grabbed by the jersey.
Bro, I fucking love that. And you know what was fun was Marcel was a guy when I was like in school and even in college. Like he was playing for Oakland. It was like the fucking truth, bro. You know, playing fullback, catching. Like he was like the first guy that I thought of at that fullback that was kind of like a true athlete. And I'm like, dude, like to have him, I think it was his last year in the league, just like his presence in the locker room that year, that he was really, you know, it's unfortunate, but I wish I would have been able to spend more. I wish he was a Seahawk earlier, you know, that would have been kind of fun.
Those must have been some fun teams. And actually, speaking of Russ, we've been going for about a $1.10 here, so we can wrap this up in maybe 10, 15 minutes. But there was some news. We were going to record this yesterday. A little fortunate that we didn't. But your old quarterback's got a new head coach. What do you think about that? Sean Payton of Denver.
I think it's the best case scenario for both parties. And what I mean by that is, you know, the reality is how should I phrase this? The Denver Broncos are in a fucking bad spot, bro. They're in a bad spot. They're really fucked. And you look at it, and Russell has always kind of admired Drew Brees. They're similar in stature. And Sean Payton is the one guy who kind of knows how to play with a quarterback of that size. Like, dude, no one's really playing quarterback, you know, like Drew Brees in Russ. So I feel like that's probably a match made in heaven, as in, like, my guess is if they talk to Russ was probably like, go get Sean. Because, like, Sean was able to make this thing work with Drew Brees. Russ has always wanted to kind of throw the ball like Drew Brees did a ton of times, like very pass heavy. So, and then Sean Payton will probably be in a similar situation, similar-ish. I think him and Drew, he's probably going to find that Russ and Drew Brees have a lot of differences. But yeah, that's what I would say. I think it's like the last hope for the Denver Broncos. Like, to me, this was their only choice. And I saw there were some reports like they wanted D'Amico Ryans, and I'm not saying that would be a bad pick, but like, bro, you need somebody that will get Russ playing at the level he was in Seattle, or else this team's fucked.
Yeah,
so bad. Like, they put all their eggs in the Russ basket. You can't, like, you need to make this work.
I'm not sure if I've said it on here before, but if I have, I'm going to repeat it. I'm sorry. But Sean Payton felt like Denver felt like the right landing spot for him because of Russ. And
yes,
it's been very clear this year. Like, Russ seems like a bit of a goofball. I think that's putting it lightly. And when your quarterback's a goofball and your head coach is maybe the worst head coach in the history of the NFL, when talking about Nathaniel Hackett, you don't have a locker room because the guys on defense, the guys on the line are looking at the quarterback. He's not inspiring to play for. The head coach is a moron. He's not inspiring to play for. You don't have a team, right? At least now you bring in Sean Payton. I'm hopeful that he'll keep Russ in check in terms of like the corniness and like let's ride and all that shit. It's like, just go play. Yes. Just go make plays. Whether Russ is still capable of playing at the level that we've seen him play at in the past, or, if Sean Payton's able to put him in the spots Pete Carroll was able to put him in. For me, at least, like, I've seen Russell Wilson be successful with a prominent head coach like this. It seems like a step in the right direction for the Denver Broncos. Agreed. But I think hiring me would have been a step in the right direction for the Denver Broncos after last year. So
yes,
it's
a
weird spot. It's a weird spot for them to be in, but I'm intrigued by it. I'm very intrigued by the Broncos and the Jets. I think those are two teams that missed the playoffs this year in the AFC that could be kind of sneaky next year. The Jets more so. Just because Denver was a fucking tire fire this year. What else do we get? You mentioned D'Amico Ryans. Any thoughts there on him going to Houston?
I think it's gonna be tough for him. I think he's a great coach. Obviously, he's been there, has some ties to that organization, but that team's not ready to win just yet. They need some help, bro.
Yeah, I like that he got the 6-year deal.
Pieces to win. Yes. Where it's like he's not going – D'Amico's not going in there thinking like, next year we're going to Super Bowl. You got the big deal, and it's like, we need to rebuild this roster, this culture, everything. We need to start ground up here. And I think he'll get this team right. Don't be wrong. So it might take a little bit. They got to bear with him for a little bit. Not bear with him, but they got to grow with him,
Bill O'Brien.
Oh, you got something for me.
Bill O'Brien ran this Texans franchise into the fucking ground, dude. They were up what? Like, they were up 2 or 3 scores on the Chiefs in the divisional round 3 years ago. And within, like, by the end of the game, their playoffs were done. They traded Hopkins for nothing. The Deshaun Watson, like, it's just like this Texans franchise is just, they could have gone one way. They went the other way. Like I said, I like the 6-year deal. I like the stability. I like that he'll be able to go in and do his own thing. I hope he's successful, but it's going to be tricky.
Going to be tough. Belly, I got bad news, man.
You got to go.
10 minutes before I got to jump on Jay.
You got more important shit to do. You got to go.
I got to comb the hair and put the suit on.
All right. So on that note, we're gonna wrap it up. Episode 13 of the All Time Podcast with Luke Wilson. Thank you to everyone who joined us. Thank you for listening. Like I said, we're back from our little 10-day hiatus. We got Super Bowl next Sunday. I'm not too sure.
Behavior.
We're back on our best behavior, staying out of trouble. And we'll be back. Hopefully we'll be back before the Super Bowl. We'll go over some bets and some picks and some props. I'm having a brutal time keeping it together. No, man, you got me in a blender. Thank you, as always, to producer Alec for putting this together on the ones and twos. And try to stay out of trouble, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Try to stay out of trouble. Cheers.